Very interesting. All right, up next we have, let's see here, we have another panel, Metaverse Economy, a Global Perspective. The moderator is Laura, and I'm going to try to do your last name, Inamedinova, CEO of, is that right? Is that good? Well, come up and correct me. Welcome on board. Welcome on stage. And so we do it right, please. Laura.
Hi, Laura Cornelia Inamedinova.
There'll be a test later.
You have 30 minutes to practice.
Okay, very good.
Where are my panelists? Panelists, yes, I think I need a few of those. And probably a few mics as well. So we have 1, 2, and one more is missing, I think. Maybe had a bit to the party last night. Let's see if the microphones are working. Awesome. Do we have Alex from SwissBorg here? He's coming, right? Sorry? Okay, he's joining in a couple of minutes. Amazing. So first of all, good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a good time at MetaWeek. I sure am. And I think that this is a very still early morning for everyone and probably all went out last night and partied. Why don't we just make a little bit of noise, just clap our hands and just, well, say hello to also our panelists. So please, everyone clap your hands. Can we do more sound? More sound, everyone. Amazing, amazing. So we're at the good start. So my name is Laura Cornelia Inamedinova, and I run a marketing agency, LKI Consulting. We work with Web3 DeFi projects, and if you ever need marketing, well, please come to me. And I think Alex is coming as well, so maybe with a big round of applause for him as well. Awesome. We have all the gentlemen here. So why don't we start off asking them to introduce themselves, who they are, and why should we listen to them about Metaverse economy, their global perspective. James, you're up first.
Well, thanks so much for having me. If you guys are here this early today, it means you didn't have a good time at our official after party last night, hosted at our office, or you weren't invited, sorry. We'll do it again. I am James Sung. I am the Executive Director of Metaverse Fintech DIFC Limited, and we are a member of DIFC Capital. DIFC Capital is a Chinese crypto group. We're a bit of crypto refugees here in Dubai for less than a year. But in China, we've had projects with total value locked of over 1.5 billion. I am heading up our Web3 initiative to help bridge the gap between global markets. And I initially wanted to be the moderator because I have more questions than I have answers. But you know, apparently,
would you like to switch?
I wasn't pretty enough to for that role. So I guess yes. Well, thank you very much. Next panelist, please.
So my name is Nitin. I've been in this space for like 13 years now. Founded the blockchain labs and digital asset labs in IBM. I recently moved to one of the largest custody banks called State Street, global head of digital asset and technology design. Do want to make clear, since I work for financial services now, is that my opinions are my own, and I'm here in my personal capacity. It's just something we have to say. And I've worked with, I would say, about 30 plus different startups in my career, dabbled with VC firms, looked into VC DAO and what we need to do in terms of automating some of the work, hedge funds. So it's been a super interesting journey, and bring a technologist perspective to this. It's not just about selling and buying tokens. There's a whole lot of infrastructure that we need to build, and I'm happy to share that perspective.
What's up, Dubai?
Yeah.
Yes. Glad to be here. Hope you're enjoying your journey so far. My name is Alex Fazel. I'm the Chief Partnership Officer at SwissBorg. We're a community-driven crypto wealth management ecosystem, but we're also heavily involved in Web3 gaming. So we invested in projects like Cross the Ages, Genso Kishi, some Metaverse plays, and we also have XBorg, which is a Web3 gaming guild that brings very competitive gamers to help develop the Web3 world as well. So look forward to this panel. I think it's one of the hottest topics of this year. So let's do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for introducing ourselves. So let's start with the basics. So what's the place of Metaverse in the global economy? Is it disrupting, supporting, or taking companies into a very different direction. James, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, can you say the question again?
Someone definitely had a good
You had a
party.
good time last night.
So what is the place of Metaverse in the global economy? Is it disrupting, supporting, or taking it in a completely different direction? Do you need a minute to think and we can ask the other panelists? Nitin?
No. I mean, okay, so the metaverse is a confusing place now. You know, yesterday we heard from a lot of people. It was almost, you know, sometimes for people it's you know, drinking too much and they're in the metaverse. For other people it's you know, they liken it to spirituality. And for other people, it's all about gaming. And I think the challenge is that, you know, there's a lack of real use cases in the metaverse economy, but it's a very big economy already. I have this statistic in my pocket. Let me just read it to you guys. So, city analysts estimate the metaverse will have a total addressable market of up to $13 trillion by 2030 with 5 billion users. And that's not that many years away. And then, of course, in Dubai, the Dubai metaverse strategy is it's promoting 40,000 virtual jobs in the metaverse by 2030. And you know, it's planning on attracting over 1,000 metaverse companies in the very near future here. So, I mean, we have an amazing, huge market. We have, you know, we're in a situation where it's the beginning of everything. And I think there's so many opportunities. And I would love to explore everything. And it feels like everything that I've been doing to this point has led up to the metaverse. How? Because I actually I started my career in hardware. So I was based in Shenzhen, China for a long time, and you know, we were making all these VR headsets, VR cameras, you know, for the longest time. And then later on, you know, we got into AR, and then later on it was AI. But, you know, we didn't know how to put all of this together because, you know, even though, you know, VR headset is cool, can I have a show of hands? How many people have used a VR headset before? Okay, so not everyone, but, you know, those of us that have used a VR headset before know that it's not something that you can keep on, you know, for a long time. It's a cool experience. You know, all right, there's some things I shouldn't say, but, you know, being in Dubai, but I'll just say it anyways, you know, the adoption of things, you know, it requires something extraordinary. You know, why did VCRs become popular? Who even knows what a VCR is here? There's a lot of young people. Who knows what a VCR is? It's, you know, why do VCRs become popular? It's because of pornography. And, you know, that's what led to, you know, the early metaverse in your home, you know, of a different reality. And, you know, it's going to take something extraordinary for us to get to that point, and not just another Axie Infinity copy, you know, not just another token. And it's, you know, we're waiting for this. We're all just here waiting.
Amazing points, James. Nitin, what? Oh, yeah. Nitin and then Alex. Yeah.
You can go. I
just wanted to comment on that. But first of all, has any of you here played a play-to-earn game before? Can we see your hands? And those who haven't yet, are you interested? Can we see your hands? Now, a question for all. For those who have played or who are interested, what would motivate you? Show me your right hand if it's the economy, and show me your left hand. Is it to have fun and play a game? Both? Have fun, play a game, both? Okay, play and have fun. Economy, money, 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 money. Okay.
Everyone cares about the money.
Now, I have a really strong point to make here. So if we take 4 years, and if I can summarize what happened in 4 years from Web3 gaming to the metaverse, because if we want to talk about economics, it's really important to understand play-to-earn economics, because that set the precedent for the metaverse. So we know that history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And when you look back at Axie Infinity, right, you guys probably know that they had 3 million players, more than half in the Philippines. What was good? What went wrong? Number one, Axie Infinity, if you guys wanted to play this game right now, you had 2 ways of playing. Either you buy these little ugly creatures and you battle other people, or you lend them to other people so that you can earn money. The other way is just to play. You'll earn a different token, so they're 2 separate tokens. And with that token, you can then eventually buy the real Axie Infinity token to, again, to buy and then mate your characters to create some sort of family, right? Some sort of family tree. Now, this is a really cool concept because you're playing, you're earning money while you're playing. There's the incentive economy, which was brand new at the time, so everyone was just blown away. But what went wrong with Axie Infinity? It's very simple. They didn't have a model that scales. It wasn't sustainable, right? Because you can have fun within the game. You can create your NFTs. You can breed characters, have little ugly babies, and then battle them. But does it scale? How does it scale? It didn't scale because it depends on having more and more players, and most of the people went in for the wrong reasons. Extrinsic motivation rather than intrinsic motivation. So they went really for the rewards, and rather than accumulating tokens, staking them, and breeding and having tons of these ugly little creatures to battle, they were selling them for their salary on a monthly basis. So it felt a little bit like a Ponzi scheme, right? So the model eventually failed. What did the metaverse, what did Sandbox, what did Decentraland do that was far different, that will scale? Think about Apple, guys. Does anyone here have an app that you've built on the App Store or Google Play Store? A few of you? Why is that model so good? Number one, you're building for app, or you're building for Google, right? Plus you're getting rewarded for it. That's what the metaverse brings relative to Web3 gaming in terms of the token economics. So what did Sandbox and Decentraland do that was critical to being one of the top tokens of all time, in the top 40 by market cap? They did one extra thing. You can create your world. If you guys know, Minecraft had 230 million copies sold. And Sandbox is the Web3 version of Minecraft, which is the most popular game of all time, even bigger than Grand Theft Auto 5. And for those reasons, what did they do differently? There are 4 actors to have in the token economics. You need the creators who will create NFTs, who will create different types of avatars. You have the builders who will build land. And why would you want to build land? Who here wants to buy real estate eventually? The virtual world is exactly the same. You want to buy land because you know it'll appreciate if the world becomes more and more popular, if there's more and more traffic, if you want to advertise your company. So that option of having builders and not just players and not just creators, and having the actual builders to create a new world, that's what changed the name of the game. And that's why Sandbox, even in the current markets, despite the fact that all the tokens have retraced between 70 to 95%, has only retraced 40 to 50. Because everyone realizes that on top of the partnerships, there's a whole new component. It's literally the same as our world, but in a virtual way, and that's why the tokenomics were successful. Just want to summarize that.
Wow. So I have a little bit more grounded perspective. Web 1 was about consumption. Web 2 was about interaction, which led to all the application that we used to, buying airline tickets, banking. It led a whole lot of other elements for Web 2 companies to monetize this. So banking changed, social media changed, the way we consume and move information changed. To me, Web 3.0 is not just evolutionary to that whole step, it's also sort of element of disruptive elements. So what Web 3.0 does, and gaming is one modality, and various ecosystems, these are different. So if you break the term metaverse as metaverse, and the whole idea that I'm working on, or at least my focus has been at a technical layer, is for us to facilitate everything that you mentioned, which is ability for me to move tokens, earn a few things in a game, monetize that whole element, and move a token to a different ecosystem. You need a massive build out of the infrastructure that facilitates the integrity of that asset that you have earned in one ecosystem and to be able to spend another ecosystem. And for that to happen, there are a few elements you need to have. One is you need to solve the issue of ownership and identity that you're able to move. That's something we need to build as infrastructure. Second thing is, how do you know what is the value of one asset? How do you know what's the value of a specific asset class? For that, you need a massive sort of exchange of the value-based information. So as we're building this infrastructure, to me, Web 3.0 represents a massive financialization, which is taking this notion of financial primitives, buying, selling, lending, borrowing, into every facet of what we own, which is the moniker of Web 3.0, which is the creator-led economy. So if you want to go towards creator-led economy, your healthcare records, your tweet, your LinkedIn, if you really want to own it in form of something that you value, then that value exchange mechanism is what we're really building. Everything else to me is the modality. I'll pause here.
Awesome. I really want to circle back a little bit what Alex said, that X Infinium, the large user base, was from Philippines and other emerging economies. So Alex, in your opinion, how does the Metaverse accelerate economic development for these emerging economies? Because we hear a lot of stories where people choose to play to earn games and make more money than they would make in any other basically day job. So how does that play in, well, basically scaling their economies?
That's a really good point. So we're 7.7 billion people around the world, right? In crypto, we have 300 million wallets, right? So that's a very small amount. It's less than 5% of the world are actually using crypto. And that's not even counting the multiple wallets we have per person, right? So you can't really measure that very well. But as we just said, Minecraft, 250 million with that game alone, right? And then you just add in a Roblox, right? And you've already have more gamers in the Web 2 world than you have in crypto through 2 single games. That's how big the mass adoption can come. And that's why like gaming and Metaverse will be the best transition. It's just it needs to be more seamless. And it really needs to come from an intrinsic motivation first. Would I play that game if I wasn't paid for it? Would I naturally want to go there? Would I naturally want to make friends? Would I want to grab a beer in that metaverse with my friend over a call while we're playing poker maybe in this virtual world, right? So that's really catching their hearts and wanting to do that rather than just focusing on the money as the primary factor will be the key point, I think, to succeed.
Yeah. And I will say one thing, right? And I'll break this down. I'm a structural thinker, where you look at DLT, blockchain technology, that enabled all these things, which is ability for us to tokenize and move value. You have the blockchain layer. Eventually, you have wallets, identity, and these are secondary layers. Then you have Web 3.0, which facilitates the ability for us to, and then you have the Metaverse as an application on top. So I just want to stress this, that Metaverse does not equate to gaming. Metaverse is all-encompassing of different universes, whether it's financial universe, whether it's gaming universe, whether it's travel, entertainment, healthcare. And to me, it's essentially going back to the value creation element is, one, we're tokenizing thing, and the whole moniker of tokenizing the world doesn't really hold, but in many cases, what do we really value? And all the studies that you mentioned, Goldman Sachs have done the study, and PwC have done the study. They all have come with massive projection of X trillion. To answer to answer the prime question of what is the economic impact, I think you're creating a new sort of ability for us to the P2P marketplaces, and that has an exponential effect because suddenly now you're creating a global marketplace, a global economic system, and that economic system, just like what we've seen with information, has exponential value growth because of these different universes that we belong to.
I'm going to follow up to Alex's comment would I play this game if I was not paid? And the answer in most cases is no, and that's the problem right now. The reason why we have people playing these games now is because either they're super smart, they made some script, and it's a robot actually playing the game, or we have players in disadvantaged nations who really need to make that $100 a month. And what happens after this fad is over? They're left with carpal tunnel and no career, right? So I think part of us as leaders in taking Metaverse forward is we need to be responsible and create some educational initiatives where these tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Web3 players in Indonesia, in Philippines, in Africa, can find some way to have a future after this, these normal games. We need to have academies. We need to really teach them technical skills, useful skills. Not teach them to play a game to make pennies.
I want to echo what the gentlemen at panel are saying, is nowadays all these play-to-earn games are just using really good marketing tactics to attract people because of the money. And once the money is out, when the tokens are not profitable anymore, there is nothing left. But there is way more in Metaverse than just games. So and it's a question for all of my panelists, so what do you think, which are the next hottest markets in the Metaverse if we put the gaming aside?
So I'll take this because I wrote a piece on this in terms of future of work. And if you look at blockchain and metaverse in general, we use the word participative economics. So it's not just about trading tokens, it's about bringing your skills, bringing whatever you have in terms of assets value. So staking is an example, ability for you to dedicate your compute capacity, ability for you to bring your computer science skills to be able to write smart contracts, ability for gamers to come and create new games. It's all about participative economics, which means you participate and you reap the benefits of that participation in a form of capacity. And the gaming itself, or the metaverse itself, has economic models that rewards and incentivizes based on demand and supply of those skills and demand and supply of the resources that are underneath the covers. And that is the fundamental shift in our existing economic system when we're looking at a global scale. So I would say that participation is a significant central point of this whole element and is significantly going to change. And I think Axie Infinity was a perfect example during pandemic. I think it's run its course at the moment, only because the world has changed over time. So the question is, what is a sustainable element where we can continue to go to work every day, do what we love to do, and be able to monetize that skill and effort that naturally comes to us?
But the question is, if you're being paid for participation, isn't this kind of double-edged sword because you're only doing it and participating because of the payment?
So I have a concept, it's called work to earn, that you just go to work to make money. That's the traditional old concept that you have, instead of play to earn and everything else. And I think that there are few things about us as humans that we do need to. So I appreciate the fact that you want to drink beer in Metaverse, but you want to taste beer, you want to feel things around you, right? So there has to be an amplifying effect of our lives. I don't want to live in the virtual world all the time. I want that virtual world to amplify my existing life that I cannot do in the real world. So things like healthcare comes to mind, things like travel and entertainment come to mind, the media experience that I have come to mind. Like if I cannot travel for whatever reason, I should be able to go into a traditional virtual reality space and go and experience that entertainment that I want without actually expending time, resources, for whatever the reason may be. I think that's an extension of our existing reality than simply manifesting it in some virtual world. Because Metaverse is not just about virtual world. Virtual world is a part of Metaverse, I think.
If I actually had a little food poisoning this morning, and if I ate in the Metaverse instead of in the real world, I wouldn't be feeling like this now. So you do have a good point. For me, I think hardware. I'm a little biased because I come from the hardware tech side. But I think a lot of us who are watching the Metaverse right now are in this Venn diagram. They're moving towards crypto and blockchain, right? But really, what we need to look is the other side, which is hardware, which is players like Facebook, Meta. They're doing this, but it's not just them. There's plenty of these real estate, smaller real estate type companies that are getting on board with very cheap hardware. And you guys should buy some VR headsets, buy some 360-degree cameras, which are actually very cheap, very surprisingly cheap. They're like $200 now. You can get something, and really start to play with it and really brainstorm what kind of ideas we can come up with to really bring us into this realm. I mean, for me, I'm not I don't like being in a world where I'm a Lego piece. I like being more realistic. So it's there's a lot of ways to look at it, and we just need to explore more.
I think when it comes to the future of the metaverse, right now we're still stuck in the gaming world. It's not life yet, right? is just playing. You know, I'm gonna get a car, I'm gonna get this spaceship, I'm gonna fly, I'm gonna shoot some monsters and aliens. So it's really too much into the gaming, but not enough into the lifestyle, social aspect. When we look at Web 1, right, it's the web of information. Web 2 is the social web, right? The social component is heavily missing. You know, I don't really have an incentive to go and hang out in the metaverse as of today. But there's also another layer, which you talked about earlier, James, which is the learning layer. I think that once we have, you know, obviously we can earn something, we have the primary needs in the Maslow hierarchy of needs, we have the belonging needs, as in we have a social circle. Then there's, of course, the esteem needs and the self-actualization. Self-actualization, can I have relevant information, exclusive information, where I can learn something specific that's related to what I want to do? If I want to watch a UFC fight, and I love MMA, I want to hang out with my buddies and watch it live rather than alone in my living room, you know, in front of pay-per-view. So I think the social component is very important. And then when it comes to the future of tokenomics, right? So Sandbox, Decentraland, so far have the best tokenomics, but it's not enough. We need a token, guys, that is so important and so vital that that's the only thing you can use. In terms of playing the game, in terms of leveling up, in terms of avatars, in terms of flying something, in terms of fighting, recharging your energy, the money needs to be as useful as it is in the real world. You need one coin, not two, not three, not five, one coin for everything, including governance, voting, everything. Staking should be one single coin that captures all the value. So you don't want to dilute the token with multiple coins. And then the last part that I see is if you really want to push to the next level, Sandbox or Decentraland, you can only use the tokens in that specific world. What if instead of having a metaverse, we had a multiverse where you could use coins or you could get access to outsider deals, third-party deals? Let's say you guys want to promote your project within this metaverse. You have a pavilion just like this convention center, and I can go in and I can learn about the projects you're building, and then I actually incorporate the learn to earn component as well. So there's a learning layer that James was talking about earlier. But I think in terms of tokenomics, there's still a lot to do in terms of building it so that I really want to stay there and enjoy it on top of learning. Then we've actually reached something very, very critical.
Let me just follow up on the learning aspect and give a quick commercial to one of the projects we invested in. Earn.games is a project it's a platform for games, for new games and new players, and it's doing really good with having an academy to actually teach their players and to help them bring them to the next level, not just to make them, you know, play games. So you should check out their booth right outside.
Laura, would you be open to having the audience ask? It's a great panel. Would
Sorry?
be open to a couple audience questions?
Yes, let me ask my last questions and
Sure.
then the audience. So I love what your guys is saying, but let me be the devil's advocate because I see two very big flaws in what, all of this global perspective of the metaverse. So first one is, if metaverse is providing all these opportunities to experience things which you wouldn't be able to experience in real life usually because of the monetary or other resource issues, wouldn't that make basic segregation between those who have the resources to experience something and those who don't even bigger? Because all of those people who can't, they will just go to metaverse and they wouldn't even have the opportunity. That's number one. And the other point is, again, very similar to all the social aspect. Again, if you are experiencing everything in a metaverse, you're meeting people there, would that mean that basically people are stopping going outside, experiencing the world outside the VR headset? And again, the segregation becomes even bigger and bigger. How do we make sure that this issue is not going to happen, or is it just inevitable future?
Yeah. So that's a loaded question, but I'll keep it short. So I spent first decade after Bitcoin revolution in traveling to 80 plus different countries. This is rural Laos, India, my home country, understanding what is the effectiveness of Bitcoin, which is the whole genesis of it. I designed payment system, designed central bank digital currencies. And we forget one thing though, that digital penetration is a bigger problem. So for you to go to Metaverse, you need this massive amount of resources, bandwidth, headsets, whatever, is the modality that lets us experience the
For
Metaverse.
now, probably
For now,
in
right.
5 years, it's going to be very cheap as a mobile phone.
maybe true. Mobile phone actually is quite pervasive in any economy for that matter. But to interact with mobile phone with the same dexterity that you're expecting to do in this virtual world, if that's what you want to call metaverse, I think we have bigger challenges to solve per se. So I would say that it should not be either or. I keep using the word that it has to amplify our experiences. We still are live human beings. We have the basic needs, as you mentioned, and it has to augment that, whether we are trying to create a new place to work, new place to experience things, and more importantly, I think that we still have to solve economic inclusion. Every single project that comes out from financial services is trying to solve economic inclusion. And I doubt if any of these people actually have spent a week in Laos or in India to figure out that you have some basic fundamental challenges than simply playing games and trading tokens. I'll pause there.
Speaking about the inclusion, and you, Alex, were mentioning all the tokens. There should be one token for using all the different, let's say, features and aspects of the app, the game, also in the governance. Wouldn't that basically mean that whoever has the most tokens have the most power and control to do things? And then even though Web3 has to be all about inclusivity, being decentralized, we're again putting the power to the person or the community who has the most tokens.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I think it's important to cap the tokens at one point where you cannot allow a certain amount, and that's just like Bitcoin. You never want someone to have more than 51% of the network's wealth. But just going back to your question, who here is kind of freaking out based on climate change or living on another freaking planet one day? And if it's not for you, if it's for your kids or nephews and nieces, who is worried about that type of problem? Okay, not many. That's one of my biggest concerns for our future generations. But I must say, like, what I'm happy about the metaverse, the environmental impacts, where you don't have to create plastic, where you don't have to create all these issues that actually are worsening climate change, is probably the most beautiful aspect of the metaverse, because you won't need as much movement, you won't need to make as many things in the tangible real world. But what I'm worried about is the social conflict that you're saying. Are we going to no longer be social butterflies or social animals? That's probably the biggest concern, but I don't think so. I think we'll have a cultural revolution where our kids will become hipsters once again and want to connect in real life and just completely want to hate part of the technology. So I believe the future is bright. Sorry for taking that.
I think we're getting already the pressure from the host.
We have the cop. We have the cop here.
It's a great panel. I would just want to give this a big round of applause, please.
Thank you, everyone.
Well done. Very well done. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Is it over?
Hey, thank you.
I think photo time.
If I can... Hello.
You should ask one big picture, so you can respond after we take a picture.
Let's take a picture first.